Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Sommer here to talk about what does my classroom look like for general chemistry. In my class, we have what's called a modern day classroom or a self-paced mastery-based class. I'll get into that a little later in the video, but keep that in mind when I'm starting to talk about some of my classroom policies. It might look different than a traditional classroom. So at the beginning of class, students will enter the class and sit at a table. So I'm preferring that no more than 4 students at a table given during the first 5 minutes. During that time, they'll be completing their review preview questions. So some kids, depending on where they are in a lesson, will be, if they are ahead of what we're reviewing, it'll be a review. If they haven't quite gotten to it yet, it'll be a preview question. But every student is expected to be at least writing the question down, and when I go over it, to be writing the solution into their notebook so that they have it for the future. I'll also be taking attendance at this time. So because I run a mastery-based in a self-paced type of classroom, different things in our Google Classroom will look differently. And so I'm using these icons this year to represent what do they have to do with the task. So the little computer, they need to complete the assignment on the Chromebook. The video, they have to watch a video. Paper and pencil assignment. Puzzle, the puzzle piece represents physical manipulative activity that they have to do. The checkbox is a mastery check that they must complete during their assigned class period. And then the test tube is a lab activity. All assignments and class materials can be found on the class website. All assignments in Google Classroom will link to a specific part on the class website. So in the classroom, the physical space, blank copies and submission. So blank copies of paper and pencil activities or physical manipulatives can be found in this teal file bin. Yes, this one's black, but it's supposed to be teal. Then submitting paper and pencil activities for feedback, all except for mastery checks. They'll go into a pink type of file drawer, and they are labeled with their class period. So when they turn in assignments such as tests and learning experiences, they will turn them into their assigned drawer. Mastery checks, which I'll discuss in a few minutes, is they'll turn their completed mastery checks into the red bin that is on the demo table at the front of the class. So this policy is specific to my class. Scented items. I am a severe asthmatic, and as such, one of my big triggers is scented sprays, lotions, hand sanitizers, and anything that is a scent. So students cannot spray those items in my class. It makes me very sick. Some of the classroom features. So the front board, on the front board, there is a red light, which looks like this when it's turned off, yellow and green. The red light is students hit that button, turn the light on when they are leaving the classroom, and then turn it off when it comes back in. That indicates to other students that there's a student out of the room, and they have to wait till the light is off in order to leave the room to go to the bathroom. Or to get a drink of water. Yellow light is a student turns this light on and writes their name next to it when they need help. So different students will be in different locations. I may be helping another student. If they have a question or concern while I'm helping another student, they can turn the yellow light on and write their name under it so that I know that they need help and they don't have to keep their hand raised. The green light button is if a student is on pace or above pace and with all of their work, they've gotten it done and they are available to help other students to understand the lessons. So they can turn the green light on. They can also look and see if there's a name under the yellow in order and to go help them. Also, students who are putting their name under yellow can look to see if there's somebody in green that they can go and help, or that they can go and ask for help if I'm helping other students. So the whiteboard tables, that's where I'm going to, most of my help table is going to be. In the middle set of white tables in my classroom are the mastery checks. So at these tables, students can only have a writing utensil, periodic table, and a calculator if they need a calculator for that mastery check. No other items are allowed at this table. Cell phone policy. So my policy, my cell phone and AirPod policy is that it should be in the student's backpack. There's not really a need for them during my class. If I see it, I confiscate it. It doesn't matter if it isn't in use. So if it's out on the table, if I see it, they will lose the privilege of having it. And the first offense is that the student device is confiscated, and students can pick it up, the device, from the front of the office at the end of the school day. The second offense is student's device is confiscated. A parent or guardian is required to pick up the device from the front office. The front office will not release it to the student in that instance. And third offense, student device is confiscated and a parent or guardian is required to pick up the device. I will also require a student grown-up teacher conference in order to discuss the continued not following of the policy. And to ease some of your concerns, the confiscated devices are immediately locked in one of my drawers. I am the only one that has keys to it. If I confiscate a device, I put their name on a sticky note and stick it to their phone, lock it in the drawer immediately. And then on my planning period, which in this year is third period, I take those devices to the front office. And the reason is they pick it up from the front office is so that students aren't trying to find me if I went to the bathroom after class or at the end of the day, or if I had to leave. They aren't trying to figure out how to get to their device. It's in the front office and secured there. So they need to pick it up from the front office at the end of the day. So classroom sign-out form. So students need to complete the sign-out form in order to leave my classroom during their assigned class period. The form is located in their resource tabs in Google Classroom. So once they submit the form, they must turn on the red light and leave, which is attached to the front board. And then lets me and other students know that there's a student who's not in the classroom, as only one student is allowed out of the classroom at a time. Once the student returns to the class, the student turns off the red light and completes the sign-in, sign-out form again, indicating they have returned. This timestamps it, and I'm able to keep track of those things. So like I said, I run a mastery-based self-paced classroom. So self-paced learning is a method of learning that allows the student to achieve mastery through practice and revision cycle. So self-paced learning is not self-taught learning. So I'll be there with each student every step of the way to provide the instruction and revision opportunities and support in the classroom. So what does self-paced learning look like in my class? So each week, student will see skill building. I actually call it content learning, practice learning assignments, mastery checks, and revision opportunities. The links to the materials will be provided to them as they are created, and students progress linearly through each lesson. So 1-1, then 1-2, etc., following the learning cycle pathway. So step 1 is content learning. Step 2 is practice. 3 is mastery check, and step 4 is revision if necessary. So what does each lesson entail? So contents instruction are videos that I create. I've created myself that delivers instruction. So instead of standing in front of the board, delivering direct instruction to every student, they are the videos have been pre-created, and they are going to watch them and take notes and complete the questions that are embedded through Edpuzzle. There might also be some reading activities. Practice, an activity that will be designed to help students develop mastery on this section concept. Those could be virtual labs, interactive worksheets, projects, other like those puzzle pieces, physical manipulatives, pencil and paper activities. Mastery checks is a formative assessment designed so students can demonstrate mastery for each lesson. All mastery checks must be completed during a student's assigned class period. They are all paper-based assessments. There is no online mastery checks this year. So revisions, these activities will allow students to reflect on their errors and relearn the material to show mastery. So for example, you can have small group instruction, getting help from a peer, getting help from me, correcting their work, etc. So this is the what is mastery. Mastery learning maintains that a student must achieve a level of mastery, so 90% on a knowledge test, in prerequisite knowledge before moving towards learning other information. If a student doesn't achieve mastery, then they're given more support in order to review the information. The cycle continues until the learner accomplishes mastery, and then they move on to the next stage, which starts over. So what are the benefits of aiming for mastery learning using self-paced? Is that students have time to focus on the material that challenges them. So if something is super easy, they can reach mastery on it and move on to the more difficult items without being bored in the classroom. They don't have to wait for others to get through it. It builds them self-management and time management skills. And if they are absent, especially in these times with COVID and some types of quarantines and everything, if they miss a live lecture, it doesn't hurt. It's not as detrimental because the information is pre-recorded and they can access it from anywhere. And it avoids those gaps in knowledge where if a student missed Tuesday, well, Wednesday we're gonna build on the stuff that we did Tuesday, but if they weren't there Tuesday, it would be really challenging for them to understand what they were doing on Wednesday. For my perspective, I'm not tied to the front of the room. I'm not standing at the front of the board lecturing. I can do more small group and more targeted supports that helps each student the way they need to be helped. Also, it helps me build more relationships because I'm not tied to the front of the board. I get to talk to the students more, etc. So if you look over here, we see what does instruction look like? The teacher in the middle, traditional, student-centered. Students are taking more ownership of their own learning and what they need. So how do you get credit? Is that in a traditional class, a lot of it is completion. Here, you have to master it in order to get credit. So progress upon mastery, and then when are students assessed? When ready? So the mastery checks. The unit tests have a set date. What are my responsibilities? Create content lessons, select activities and resources that help students meet their specific learning needs, provide timely and constructive feedback, be available to help students understand content when they're struggling, and support all students as they progress towards mastery. What is the student's responsibility in this type of classroom? They have to try. Chemistry is extremely challenging. And then they have to take their time to truly learn the material and don't rush just to get it done. Complete unit sections in order. Chemistry builds upon itself. If you don't demonstrate mastery on an objective, go back and review, ask for revision time, and then keep trying. Also, don't plagiarize by copying another student's work or copying off the internet. So grading in a self-paced classroom. So this is a little bit different than how I did it last year, I was online only last year. But Edpuzzle assignments, they go in the 30% category in the gradebook. They will be graded according to the following. If a student scores less than an 84%, so less than mastery, a 0 is entered into the gradebook. The student can redo the assignment to reach mastery. If they score greater than an 84%, the closest whole number grade earned will be entered into the gradebook. So example, if you earned an 87.53% on the Edpuzzle, the score in the gradebook would be an 88%. The purpose of Edpuzzle videos is to learn the content. If a student does not reach mastery on the Edpuzzles, I'll automatically reset the student's progress so they can redo the Edpuzzle. I should only have to reset the Edpuzzle once, as I explain the answers to the questions immediately after I ask them in Edpuzzle, and students need to take notes during Edpuzzle while watching. Learning assignments. Certain practice assignments are listed as must-do assignments. Those are assignments that they have to do. They'll be graded using the 0, 84, 92, and 100 scale. Other practice assignments are either should do or aspire to do assignments. So the purpose of these assignments is to practice a skill or solidify a concept. These assignments are completed in order to develop mastery. Mastery checks. They go in the learning experience category. It will be graded on a 4-point scale. So the purpose of mastery check is assessment. These assignments are completed to demonstrate mastery. A student can complete revisions and reassessment. Revisions and reassessment are expected to be completed before a student starts the next lesson. But I can see that how sometimes in a larger classroom where I may not have gotten a chance to quickly grade their mastery check yet, and so they can go on to the next lesson until I give them that feedback. So the scale this year is 0. So if they score less than an 84% on the mastery check, they get a 0 until they go back and redo it. It means they didn't achieve mastery. 84 is they achieved mastery, 90% is achieved mastery, and 100% is achieved mastery. Those are the grades that will go 0, 84, 90, and 100 are the only grades that students will see in Infinite Campus or Google Classroom for the mastery check grade. Summative assessments are going in the evidence category, and it'll be grading using the full RRHS grading rubric. These have a fixed date of completion. So the test date, there's self-paced throughout the unit, but it's not a fully self-paced where they can test on the unit whenever. They have a fixed date. So the unit 1 test, let's say it's September 10th, they have to have their mastery checks done by the day of the unit test. It's to demonstrate mastery over the entire unit or semester in case of the final. You can complete revisions on their summative assessment in order to assess with new questions. So in order to do that on a summative assessment, students will not be allowed to reassess without first completing revisions. Students must notify me, Mrs. Sommer, via email if they would like to retake their summative assessment. Students have 1 week from the day of the summative assessment grade is returned in Google Classroom in order to retake it. Summative assessment retakes will only be allowed during PLT time. Required tasks for revisions vary between units. The retakes will be individually assigned via Google Classroom only after a student emails Mrs. Sommer and requests retake. So the tasks. The tasks will be individually assigned via Google Classroom only after the student emails to request a retake. Students are not allowed to complete revisions on the semester final. And finally, ways to contact me. Email, Google Voice. This is my new Google Voice. Oops. Right here. And online comments feedback. Teachers will post comments when grading. And then these are some things that students should keep an eye out for when sending emails or texting, etc. And as always, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask questions if you have any questions regarding anything that happens in my classroom.